Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with a little series for you for EDS Awareness Month. So May is EDS Awareness Month. EDS stands for Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, and it is a condition that I have. And I always think every year, like, what video can I make that's going to be different from the ones that I've done previously, but that can help raise awareness for EDS. And I came across a tag on YouTube, which I love a good tag, and this tag is called "This is My EDS" tag, and I had a little look at it, watched some of the videos, and I thought this is a really good idea. It is by a lady called Annie Elainey. I will link her channel below so that you can go and watch her answers to it. And basically her idea of this whole tag was that EDS is so diverse, like different people experience it in different ways, and she kind of came up with this idea. I've got it written down here. She said that she went to see a doctor and they basically said, well, I know someone with EDS and they don't use a wheelchair, so why do you? And it's an attitude that I've experienced, and I know that plenty of other people have experienced. And so this tag is, she kind of made this tag to help people understand how diverse EDS can be, and you know how it affects everybody differently. And so basically it's just getting people with EDS to tell their story, to talk about their EDS and how it affects them, and basically the more people that do it, the more diversity that you will see, and it will help people understand all the different ways it can affect people, so that you don't get that judgment of meeting someone and saying, well, I know this person and they are affected like this, why are you so different? So I thought I would wear my new zebra jumper for this, because zebra is a sign of EDS and rare diseases, and also it's a rainbow one, which I thought was rather cute. I'll put a link to the jumper in the description bar if it's something that you want to get for yourself, but yeah, I really love it. So this is actually going to be in 3 different parts, because she has split it into 3 different sort of areas. So I'm going to do part 1 today, and then I'll probably put the 2nd and the 3rd part up at some point during May as well. So for part 1 of the "This is My EDS" tag, it is questions around what is EDS like on my body. As I said before, and I kind of want to make it clear, I am just talking about EDS from my point of view. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not, you know, my experiences are going to be different from other people's experiences. So if I say something and like you've got EDS, or you have a friend with EDS and you think, well, they don't have it like that, or they have it worse than that, or whatever, this is just my experiences. This is how it affects me. So yeah, if you're not sure, definitely go to your doctor or speak to your specialist. But I just want to sort of tell my story for EDS Awareness Month. Okay, so question number 1, or part number 1, is introduce yourself, your name, and it says your pronouns and your EDS type. So my name's Jenny. Pronouns I use, I guess, are like she, her, anything like that. The type of EDS that I have is hypermobile EDS. It used to be called EDS type 3, I believe, but the classifications and stuff have been changed, so now it's called hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. Right, 2nd question. First things first, in one word, how are you feeling today? Oh, I find it so hard to answer because I can't speak in one word. I would say I'm feeling tired, which is quite a normal feeling for me, and for a lot of other people with EDS, because of everything going on. It just drains you completely. So yeah, I am feeling tired today. Okay, next question. For those who don't know, can you explain EDS medically in a sentence? Again, this is quite a difficult one because EDS is quite a complex and misunderstood and rare illness. So EDS in a sentence, I guess you would say that it is a genetic condition where you have a faulty gene that controls the collagen in your body. So kind of collagen is what holds everything together, and how it all like stays, it's meant to stay in the right place. But with EDS, you have a faulty gene that makes that collagen not work properly. Okay, the next question is, what is your favourite analogy for how EDS feels or what EDS is like? I don't know if I really have an analogy. I think it's very difficult to describe how EDS feels because there's so much stuff to it and it affects you in so many different ways. So it's quite difficult to encompass all of that in kind of one analogy. I've always said that I kind of feel like I have run a marathon and been out clubbing all night and that I've got a terrible hangover, and all of that you kind of feel at the same time, but it doesn't go. So you're constantly in pain, you're constantly feeling very tired, you feel sick and dizzy and just generally not very well, but with no kind of, not really any sort of like improvement. Sometimes you have like better days and not so good days, but sometimes I just feel like I've been hit by a bus. I think that's the best analogy that I can come up with. Okay, the next question is, what are your symptoms and comorbid illnesses / conditions? So yeah, with comorbid illnesses and conditions, EDS tends to come with other illnesses or make you more likely to get other illnesses. There's still a lot of research going on and a lot of understanding that needs to be kind of reached as to why you get some illnesses with EDS, or why you're more likely to get some illnesses with EDS. So I'll start with my EDS symptoms. So I suppose like the general EDS symptoms are things like chronic fatigue, so constantly tired, chronic pain, so I'm constantly in pain. I have trouble with my joints, so they sublux and dislocate. I've been quite lucky that I haven't had like huge amount of proper dislocations. I was born with dislocated hips, and that was, I guess, like the first part of my EDS showing itself. I do get a lot of like very unstable joints, which can be quite painful if they kind of come out a bit and then you struggle to get them back in. EDS, I'm just trying to think of like specific EDS symptoms. Oh, she's made a list here. Yeah, so like pain, hypermobility, so I'm very bendy, which people kind of, I think it's people's like misconception of EDS. They just think, oh, you're really bendy, which, yes, like a lot of people with EDS are very bendy, but that's not the whole like picture. It's just one little part of it. And yeah, I mean, I can bend in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways, but it's not necessarily good for me because it doesn't help my joints and muscles and stuff to keep doing that kind of thing. I bruise very easily. I bruise like a peach. So I'm constantly covered in bruises and I have absolutely no idea where they came from, most of them. But yeah, I'll wake up every morning, I'll be like, where did that one come from? And also I find that I don't heal particularly well. And a lot of people with EDS find this, that they have poor healing. So when I've had operations, or if I've like cut myself or scraped my knee or something like that, it doesn't heal very well and you end up with quite strange looking scars that haven't kind of healed properly. I also have very, very smooth, fragile skin. It's commented on quite a lot, like if I've ever been for massages or anything like that, people will always say like, oh wow, do you like massage your skin a lot? Not massage, put moisturiser on your skin quite a lot. And I'm like, well no, not really, this is just how it is. And that bit's not necessarily a bad thing, but the fact that it's very fragile is not such a good thing because it tears or like gets injured very easily, and then doesn't heal properly either. And then, so I think those are like the general sort of specific EDS symptoms, and then it's also asked what your comorbid illnesses are. So I also had something called POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and basically it was explained to me like, in most normal people, when you go to stand up, the blood vessels in your legs and stuff will contract and push the blood back up so that you don't faint. But with someone with POTS, they don't do that. So you'll go from like lying to sitting or sitting to standing, and instead of the blood coming back up to kind of keep you sitting and standing, everything kind of just ends up staying in your legs, and you end up fainting. So I kind of noticed it. I would feel very faint a lot. I would faint. My heart rate was really, really fast. Like I would scare doctors and nurses if they ever took it, because it was ridiculously fast. My blood pressure would drop a lot. Like if I was going to stand up or whatever, my blood pressure would drop. I am on medication for it now, and it is better managed, but it still does cause a lot of problems. Kind of along with POTS, I often have problems with like temperature regulation. So I'm either too hot or I'm too cold, and I can't kind of find a balance. So when it's really hot, I will sweat a lot because my body can't cope with the temperature changes. And just generally with POTS, you have like an autonomic dysfunction. So any kind of functions that your body does subconsciously end up becoming a bit sort of skewed and not working properly. So digestion and temperature regulation, heart rate, blood pressure, all that kind of stuff just gets a bit messed up. Yeah, so I've got that. I also have a lot of digestive problems. So I have something called gastroparesis and intestinal dysmotility, which basically means that my digestive system doesn't work properly. It doesn't move food through the digestive system like it should. So I'll often have stuff sitting in my stomach for a long time because it just isn't moving it through to my intestines. And then it will just sit in my intestines, and it's very, very like sluggish. So this causes a lot of problems with pain, with nausea, sickness, have problems like absorbing things. So you end up with like deficiencies and stuff like that. A lot of pain, a lot of not feeling very well, finding it hard to eat. I have a lot of trouble swallowing, and it's just not very nice. So yeah, that's the sort of that bit. I also have bladder dysfunction, I suppose you'd call it. I have to self-catheterize because I find it difficult to empty my bladder properly. And there's not a huge amount they can do about that. I think again it's because of everything being very like stretchy and not working properly. So yeah, that's that kind of thing. I'm trying to think of other comorbid. Oh yeah, I have something called mast cell activation syndrome. So this seems to come alongside EDS quite a lot, and basically your body produces too much histamine, and it has like allergic reactions to anything and everything. So it can be quite difficult because you don't know when you're going to have a reaction. So I carry a lot of like antihistamines and stuff around with me. I take regular medication for it as well. But I just I'll come up in like big blotchy rashes and get very itchy. My mouth will go all tingly. I'll start having like problems breathing. And yeah, it's just not much fun. I do also have asthma as well, and I don't know whether that's connected to EDS, but I suppose it's a comorbidity. Just reading her list of other things on here. I have had like mental health problems, which I think are a result of my EDS and the fact that I wasn't diagnosed properly, or I wasn't diagnosed until I was 25. And just dealing with chronic illness and all the difficulties that it can bring, I think definitely impacts on my mental health as well. I'm trying to think if there's any other comorbidities that I have. I've probably missed something really like big, but at the moment I can't really think of anything. I'm just reading her list of other things she's put on here, but I think that's pretty much enough to be getting on with anyway. And then the last question for this part of the series is, how does EDS impact your daily life? And this is an interesting question to ask because I have had it my whole life. Sometimes it's difficult to know how it impacts my life, because for me, I suppose how I live is normal to me, and it's only when I compare my life to healthy people that I realise how much of an impact it's having sometimes. Like, obviously I know, you know, I can understand how, like, the impact it's having when I'm too tired to leave the house, or I'm having to sleep or like lie on the sofa all day, or when I'm in a lot of pain and that's just stopping me from doing stuff. But I think it's more wide reaching as well. So for example, I spend a lot of time in hospitals, whether it's for appointments or for tests or for procedures, or if I've got to go in as an inpatient for something. I always joke with my dad that I should have like some sort of loyalty card or something for hospitals, because I just, like, pretty much every week I've at least got one hospital or medical appointment, and that has a massive impact on your life, I think, because it's stressful having to go to hospitals. Even if you've been doing it for years, I don't think it gets any easier necessarily. You know, trying to deal with all the different departments, and, you know, I do feel like I'm some sort of medical secretary a lot of the time, because I'm having to try and organise all my appointments and chase up things that haven't happened, and chase up test results and referrals and things like that, and that gets really stressful, and it takes a lot of time and energy, and my energy is quite limited anyway, so it's not necessarily something that I massively want to be focusing my whole energy on. Like, I want to be living like a normal life, but a lot of my energy is spent on hospitals and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, that has a big effect on how EDS impacts my life. And then I guess more practically, the way EDS affects me has a big impact on my life. I mean, like I said about, you know, not necessarily being able to go out and do all the things that I want to do all the time, having to rest, having periods when I'm not well enough to leave the house, obviously has a big impact. Needing to use a wheelchair most of the time has quite a big impact on my life. I mean, I have had to buy an electric wheelchair to try and give me a little bit more independence. That also has meant that I've needed a Motability car with a hoist so that I could sort all that out. But even still, like, I don't go out on my own a huge amount. I will go to certain places on my own, so to certain appointments I will go to my own, or if I know if I go to like a friend's locally or something and I know that I just park on their drive and go into their house, I can do that. But needing to go things like to shopping or anything like that, if I was going to do that, I usually have to have somebody with me, because I need their help and things like that. So you lose a lot of independence, I think, with a chronic illness, or certainly I have anyway. And that has a huge impact, you know, as a 30-year-old. You're kind of wanting to be independent and to be living your own life, and it's very difficult to make that happen, and that has quite a mental impact, I think, as well as a physical impact. I also have to take a lot of medication, so that has a big impact. It comes with side effects. Having to try new medications is always quite anxiety provoking, because I react quite a lot to medications, so you're always waiting for the next side effect. Having to sort out my medications every week, because I take so many, I sort them out a week in advance into like a pot, like a Dosset box. So that takes quite a lot of preparation. Actually getting the medications, getting them all sorted, sorting out repeat prescriptions takes quite a long time. Yeah, anything like that just takes up quite a lot of my time. EDS has also impacted my life in that I'm not able to work. Well, I'm not able to work at all at the moment, and certainly not even if I'm kind of thinking about whether it's something I'll be able to do in the future. I suppose I have a lot of like limitations and stuff, so rather than just thinking of like, oh, I'd love to go and, like, for me it was like, oh, I really want to be a doctor, but I've had to completely like change my hopes, I suppose, and dreams of like what I want, because some of them just didn't fit around having a chronic illness like EDS. So, you know, I've gone more down like the journalism route now, but even so, I couldn't just look and think, oh, I'd like to go and do that 9-to-5 job at a magazine or whatever. It's like, well, if I'm going to do any kind of journalism, it's got to be flexible. I've got to be able to do stuff from home. There's possibly going to be weeks or days or months where I'm not able to do much at all, and like, who's going to employ me to have months off at a time? So it makes working very difficult, and that's difficult on you mentally as well. So yeah, like as I said, all of this stuff that impacts on your life, as well as it impacting physically and practically and on your family around you, it is also going to have a massive impact on your mental health, because, you know, I would find it strange for anybody to go through all these different things and to not have any impact on their mental health at all. Obviously it varies between people, you know, some people will cope and be a lot less affected than others. I personally have been very affected, I guess. You know, it's had a massive impact on my mental health. I'm kind of coping at the moment to a certain extent, but I've had times when I've been really unwell and I've had to be in hospital because it's impacted on my mental health so much that I have become suicidal or have been in a really bad place. So yeah, there is not one way that EDS doesn't impact me in my life, because it's just so all-encompassing, and it affects every part of my body and everything I do. It's not like I can go through a day without realising it's there. I notice it every minute of every day. And because the diagnosis took so long, it's taking me a while to like get my head around it all and adapt. And even when you do adapt, something else changes, so you're never like stable, basically. So you're constantly like, I feel like I'm constantly firefighting, like, when's the next symptom coming, when's the next problem going to be, and not in a negative way, it's just how it is. So yeah, EDS has had a massive impact on my life, and I kind of hope that this series of videos will help you understand, you know, how EDS doesn't impact people and how it impacts people differently. You know, I could stand next to somebody else with exactly the same diagnosis as me and we would be completely different. And I think it's really important to understand that, and I hope that this will kind of contribute to that understanding. I also hope that if you've got EDS and you're watching this, that you will feel that you're not alone, that there are other people that are going through similar stuff to you, and that you can kind of take comfort in that as well. So yeah, this is the end of part 1 of the series. I hope you have found it helpful. I hope it's raised some awareness of EDS. If you've got any like questions or anything about anything I've said, please don't hesitate to ask, because I am quite happy to talk about anything. I enjoy raising awareness of EDS, and yeah, quite happy to answer any questions. If there's any videos you'd like to see me do related to anything I've said or anything completely separate as well, please do let me know in the comments, because I always love to hear from you, and yeah, I'm always up for listening for your suggestions. Please do give me a like and subscribe to my channel as well. I'll pop some EDS information in the description bar if you're kind of looking for support groups or anything like that. I will put all that down there, and I'll see you in another video very soon. Bye!